Hi, 5th grade. It's Mrs. Skioka with your flipped math lesson for today, 13-3. Today's objective is I can convert from one customary unit of weight to another and apply this skill to compare quantities. So we're still using those customary units that we've been talking about, and we're going to use that to compare weight today. For our practice problem, we have an adult elephant might weigh 5 tons. A baby elephant might weigh 250 pounds. How many pounds does the adult elephant weigh, and how can you convert 250 pounds to tons? We have two questions here. The first question is, how many pounds does the adult elephant weigh? So we're going to be converting to pounds. And how can you convert 250 pounds to tons? So we're going to be converting 250 pounds into tons. Our important information we need to find is 5 tons and 250 pounds for the baby elephant. Let's try to solve these. The first things that you need to know is how much a pound is, how much a ton is. So 1 ton is the same as 2,000 pounds. It equals 2,000 pounds. 1 pound is the same as 16 ounces. So if we go in order from smallest unit of measurement for weight to the largest, we'd start with ounces, then we have pounds, and then we have tons. Okay? We're going from smallest to largest. Remember, when we convert from smaller units to larger units, you have to divide. When you are converting from a larger unit to a smaller unit, you multiply. Okay, so you have to know the difference of which is the largest and which is the smaller unit. Okay, so for our first problem, we know that a large elephant, an adult elephant, could be up to 5 tons. And you can see in the drawing that I have drawn 5 tons. A line to represent that. And I also know that 1 ton equals 2,000 pounds. So what I did is I drew 5 tons there, 5 boxes to represent each ton, and I wrote down 2,000 pounds in each box. When I'm converting from a larger unit like tons into a smaller unit like pounds, I have to multiply. So I'm going to be multiplying 5 times 2,000. This is an easy multiplication problem because it ends with zeros, so I can ignore those for a moment and just multiply the digits that are not 0. 5 times 2 is 10, and then tack on or annex those 3 zeros. There are 3 zeros, 1, 2, 3, put them on the end, put in my comma, and I know that 5 tons equals 10,000 pounds. Okay, alternatively, I could have added 2,000 plus 2,000 plus 2,000 plus 2,000 and so on. I could have added 2,000 5 times, and that would have eventually given me 10,000 pounds. Okay? Now let's try the other problem. If I have 250 pounds, how much of a ton is that? So let's say this line represents 1 ton and I have 250 pounds. I need to know how much of a ton it is. Would you hear me say that word of, a? Well, that means that we're going to do division or we're going to have a fraction. Okay? I'm going to find out how much 250 pounds is of a ton. And I know that 1 ton equals 2,000 pounds. So my fraction is going to be 250 out of 2,000. Okay? I could also use division, right? That's what a fraction is. It's just division. And I have 250 being divided by 2,000. This will give me a decimal point. Or I can use a fraction to find a fraction. Okay? Let's do the fraction first. Now, if I have 250 over 2,000, I see zeros on both, so I can just go ahead and take off a 0. And then I have 25 over 2,000. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go ahead and get rid of that 0. And 250 over 2,000 is the same as 25 over 200. Let me move that over so I can do some work on it. And I'm going to simplify it. So I'm going to divide both the top and the bottom by the same number, because whatever I do to the top, I have to do to the bottom. And I'm going to divide both of them by 25, because I know that 25 is a factor of both 25 and 200. 25 divided by 25 is 1. 200 divided by 25 is 8. So 250 pounds is 1/8 of a ton. I could also just use division. Remember, when we go from bigger to smaller, that means we're using division. Let me get rid of some of this so I can make some room to write. And I'm going to divide 250 by 2,000. So I'm going to move that over. Now, since they both begin, or I'm sorry, they both have a 0 at the end, I can take off the 0 just like I did on the fraction, take off the ending 0, and I still have 25 divided by 200. 25 is smaller than 200, so I'm going to have to use a decimal point. If I put a decimal point there, I better put it up in my answer as well. Then I'm going to add a 0. I still have the number 25, it just has a 0 now. 25 divided by, it looks like 250 now, divided by 200. So I know 200 could go into 250 one time. 1 times 200 is 200. Subtract, and I get 50. I'm going to bring down a 0. 200 can go into 500 2 times. 2 times 200 is 400, and I subtract. And I have 100 left. Bring down another 0, and now I have 1,000, and 200 goes into 1,000 5 times. So I'm going to stop there because 5 times 2 is 1,000. Subtract, and I get 0. And once I get to 0, I know I'm at the end of my division problem. So 0.125, that equals the same thing as 1/8, and that's how many tons 250 pounds is. It's less than a ton. So I have a fraction or I have a decimal. Okay, we're also going to be comparing using the less than, greater than, or equal symbol. We have 7 pounds and 100 ounces. We're going to compare 7 pounds to 100 ounces. You can do this either converting larger to smaller numbers or converting smaller to larger numbers. We're going to try both. So let's convert larger units to smaller units. It's not necessarily larger numbers, it's larger units to smaller units. The larger unit is the pound. Okay. When I convert larger to smaller, I have to multiply. I know I'm going to take it times the number 7. I'm converting from pounds to ounces, and I know that 1 pound equals 16 ounces. So I'm going to find out how much 7 pounds is. So I'm going to take 7 times 16. I don't know 7 times 16 off the top of my head, so I'm going to go ahead and multiply that out. 7 times 6 is 42. Carry the 4. 7 times 1 is 7, plus 4 is 11. So 112 ounces. So now I can compare 112 ounces compared to 100 ounces. Well, obviously 112 ounces is going to be greater than, so I can put my greater than symbol there in the circle. Remember, it always faces towards the larger number. So that's how to convert the larger unit to the smaller unit. You can also convert the smaller unit to a larger unit using division. Okay? So this time I'm going to convert the ounces into pounds. So I have 100 ounces, and I'm going to divide them by how many ounces are in a pound. There are 16. So 100 divided by 16. I can also write that as a fraction. I could write 100 over 16. That's the same thing as 100 being divided by 16. So you'd have to figure out what your 16s are. Okay, and you could find out that 16 or 100 divided by 16, you can divide it 6 times. Okay, so 6 times 16. 6 times 6 is 36. and carry the 3. 6 times 1 is 6, plus 3 more is 9. So 100 minus 96 is 4. Oh, I'm adding a 0, so I need to put a decimal point there. I'll bring that down. And 16 can go into 40, I think 3 times. Or I could also stop right there and put the rest of it as a fraction. Okay, the remainder would be 4 over 16. And then I reduce that further, and I would have 6 and 1/4, because I divided the top number by 4, divide the bottom number by 4. So 6 and 1/4. So if I compare 7 pounds to 6 and 1/4 pounds, I know that 7 pounds is greater than 6 and 1/4 pounds. Okay, so you can do either when you're comparing. Which is easier to you? Well, to me, converting larger numbers to smaller numbers is easier, because then I just need to use multiplication. Okay, let's practice. You're going to practice as well as do some on your own. We're going to convert each unit of weight first, okay? Just practicing converting from one unit of weight to another unit of weight. So you're going to need to know ounces, pounds, and tons. 2,000 pounds equals blank tons. Well, I know from the beginning that 1 ton equals 2,000 pounds. So if I have 2,000 pounds, I have 1 ton. That one's pretty easy. Number 2, 48 ounces equals blank pounds. I know that 16 ounces equals 1 pound. I'm going from a smaller unit to a larger unit, so I'm going to be dividing. So I'm going to divide 48 ounces by 16, and 48 divided by 16, I believe, is 3. Let me double check. 16 times 3, make sure that equals 48. 3 times 6 is 18. Carry the 1, 3, plus 1 more is 4. Yep, 48. So 48 ounces equals 3 pounds. You try one. 1/2 of a pound equals blank ounces. Okay, if 1 pound equals 16 ounces, then 1/2 of a pound would equal half of that. Half of 16 is the same as 16 being divided by 2, and 16 divided by 2 is 8. So 1/2 a pound equals 8 ounces. Number 4, 16,000 pounds equals blank tons. Okay, I know that 2,000 pounds equals 1 ton. So if I take 16,000 pounds and divide it by 2,000, then I'll know how many tons there are. Since they both have zeros, I'm going to take off the same number of zeros. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3, and do some easy division. 16 divided by 2 then is 8. 16,000 pounds is the same as 8 tons. Okay, let's compare using greater than, less than, or equal. Okay, 33 ounces compared to 2 pounds. Where would you put the greater than, less than, or equal sign? Well, I like to convert from larger to smaller, because then I can use multiplication. So that's what I'm going to use. I know that 16 ounces equals 1 pound. So if I have 2 pounds, I'm going to multiply that times 16 ounces. 2 times 16 is 32. So 2 pounds is the same as 32 ounces. And 32 is less than 33. And 33 is greater than 32. Number 6, 2 tons compared to 4,500 pounds. Again, I like to go from a larger unit to a smaller unit, and that way I can use multiplication. I know that 1 ton equals 2,000 pounds. So 2 tons is going to equal 2 times 2,000. And that equals 4,000. So 4,000 pounds compared to 4,500 pounds is less than. 4,000 is less than 4,500 pounds. You try. Number 7. 4 pounds and 64 ounces. Okay, I know that I'm going to be changing from a larger unit to a smaller unit, so I use multiplication. And I know that 16 ounces equals 1 pound. So I multiplied 4 times 16 and I got 64. So 64 ounces equals 64 ounces. Number 8. 1 ton compared to 1,999 pounds. I know that 1 ton equals 2,000 pounds, so 1,999 pounds is less than 1 ton, because that equals 2,000 pounds. Number 9. Solve this problem. The world's heaviest lobster weighed 44 pounds and 6 ounces. How many ounces did the lobster weigh? Okay, so first I found the number of ounces in 44 pounds. So I multiplied 44 times 16 and that equaled 704. Then I had to remember to add those 6 ounces, so I took 704 and added 6 to it, and that equals 710 ounces. Don't forget to box your answer. Okay, we are finished for today. Thanks so much. I'll see you later. Bye-bye.